AITA for telling a friend's girlfriend that she's spoiled? Several days ago we invited a friend and his girlfriend over for dinner. Before we start, some background about my friend. I've known him for almost 15 years. He never had a lot of money, but he never let that get in the way. He worked hard, saved hard, and bought things if he decided he really wanted them, but was not a spendthrift. He paid his way through university without taking any loans, working his ass off into jobs while full-time studying. He recently opened a startup of his own which has great potential and has started getting nibbles and several customers, but is far from being a success or even profitable yet. On to the story. They were talking about how they were looking to buy a car, his first, because now that they live together, she felt that they could split the cost of a car because they were saving money on rent. I could tell my friend wasn't too hot on the expense because all his money was in the startup and he'd need to take out a loan to get a car, in addition to the loans he had already taken out to get his business up and running. When we were talking about it, his girlfriend kept saying things about how at 33 years old I shouldn't have to take the bus anymore, and taking public transportation is for losers. As someone who bought my first car, used, at 31 because my family was growing, I'll admit I took some offense to that. I've used public transportation for years, and still do, and never considered it beneath me. The real kicker came when she started talking about getting a brand new car, straight from the dealership. Wouldn't even consider getting something a couple of years old. Here's where I may have overstepped my bounds and told her that her entire attitude is spoiled, and that if she really cared about my friend, she'd realize that he doesn't have the ability to spend that much money, and she should look at something cheaper if she wouldn't deign to ride the bus with the rest of the common folk. After a minute or so of awkwardness, the conversation switched to other topics and the subject of the car was dropped. After they left, my wife said I shouldn't have called her spoiled to her face and I almost ruined dinner for everyone. My friend told me, though, that she dropped the idea of the brand new car and they are looking at the user car lots. So, AITA? NTA. Don't talk about financial matters with friends if you aren't ready for honest input. Edit. Curious. Has she ever owned a car? Sounds like she is calling other people losers without having actually fulfilled that goal in life on her own as well. Just ironic to me if that is the case. At 33 years old I shouldn't have to take the bus anymore. Well, get a job and buy your own car, you freeloader. How can you complain about not having a car like that when it's solely your responsibility to ensure you get one? It's not going to drop for free on your doorstep. NTA. Opus. Sometimes the truth hurts, but sometimes we need to hear it to help ourselves. Your wife is being overly polite to the point of being rude emo. It would have been rude to your friend if you had not backed him up, because it was a stupid idea of the GFS part and sometimes not disagreeing people will take as agreement. Why WBTA if you didn't call your friend out if he ever had a stupid idea? NTA. 100% agree with this. Op watched his friend get uncomfortable and did what any good friend would do. Esh. It's not your place to tell your friend's girlfriend that your friend is uncomfortable about buying a car. If he is uncomfortable, it's up to him to tell her that. His finances are for him to screw up or succeed at. If he asks for your help, go ahead and help and give all the advice and opinions you want. But of course, she's being a total asshole about public transportation, which is literally a way of life in many American cities. You were totally not in the wrong for calling her a spoiled princess there. All about tact. Could have said things like, there's CarMax or used dealership options. I got my car from Craigslist and it's great. I get that taking the bus can be annoying, but a lot of people do it. I mean, I guess you would just have to save up for something like that. At least a down payment. Does that make Op in the wrong for defending his friend? Of course not. But the way you say something is also important. Loans are not inherently bad, by the way. So I also disagree with that premise here. I think you were rude as it was his place to say, but I can see why. She sucks for being spoiled though. I get it, but to be honest what I would have done would have been to speak to him later saying you maybe should talk to her. Also, was she being serious as our cousin is a bus driver and jokes about having to get the peasant wagon? I think he was rude for how he said it, but not for saying it. It would be more rude to allow your friend to fall into a worse financial situation, and they shouldn't be talking about finances if they didn't want an honest answer. Accept your friend. It wasn't your place to butt in and try to set her straight. She sounds pretty obnoxious from your retelling. But is it possible she has a very deadpan sense of humor and was trying to exaggerate for comedic effect? Even if she was a total a-hole, you did overreact. And the place to address your concerns would be privately with your friend. Or just keep it to yourself. She sounds pretty obnoxious from your retelling. This is what gets me, because it's a retelling. Like many people, he thinks he's not wrong. So I'm wondering how this really came off. You should never nudge your way into someone else's finances unless you want to foot the bill for them. She was definitely being spoiled and ridiculous. But you put your friend in an awkward position by telling her so in front of everyone. It wasn't your place, Anne. Like you said, it came more from a place of personal defensiveness about taking the bus until recently. So it was as much about you as your friend. And I sure wouldn't feel great if someone came to my defense by saying how much money I don't have. You called a grown woman spoiled? In the middle of dinner? Dude, that's awful. You embarrassed her and stuck your nose into something that was none of your business. She does sound spoiled from your version of the story. But unless she or your friend invited your comment, it's not your place to give an opinion on her character. If she brought up that public transportation is for losers and she doesn't want a second-hand car, then you can definitely give your opinion on the bad financial choices she's planning on making. But that's a far cry from point blank insulting her. Jesus. I don't understand how so many people are judging not the asshole after you literally called someone spoiled in front of her friends. Is there any possible situation where that's not an asshole-ish thing to do? And you probably made everyone at dinner really uncomfortable. So you're an asshole for that too. There's just a lot of children on this website and socially disaffected young men with anger issues towards women. AITA. You either just put distance between your friend and his girlfriend or yourself and your friend. Or both. There are about 100 more tactful ways to let her know she was being offensive or to get her to switch to another topic, or you could have shared your opinion with your friend at a different time when you weren't being so confrontational. As the dude says, you're not wrong, Walter. You're just an asshole. I'm honestly surprised that anyone here would vote this NTA. It seems like they are voting based on the fact that they agree with his assessment, but even though he is correct about his assessment, you don't say that to your friend's GF during dinner. How can anyone think that's okay? If the GF had insulted Op directly, then yeah. But she's just an idiot. AITA, actually. You're right. But AITA, you shouldn't butt into your friend's finances. It's your buddy's place to stick up for himself here, not yours. They are making a dumb financial decision. It's dumb. But it's not so egregious that it requires a friend to step in. At most, you could talk to him on the side and express some concern about how such an expensive car might impact his business plans. And honestly, assuming you're in the US, almost everywhere you can live is a pain in the ass with public transportation as your only form of transportation. I don't think she put down public transit riders, especially since she currently is one. But she is just thinking, geez. At 33 I thought I'd have my finances together enough to have a car by now. That's a valid thought in most of the US. Not having a car is a detriment. I wish it were different. But it's not. I think you incorrectly took offense at her statements and retaliated with an unquestionable insult by calling her spoiled. AITA. Even by your own admission, they're already splitting the cost of rent and talking about splitting the cost of the car. Meaning she's putting her own money into it. Why shouldn't she get to express wanting a new car if she's putting her money into it as well? Your friend is a big boy with his own apartment, his own GF, and his own mouth who can fight his own battles. I think you got hurt about her, admittedly snotty comment about public transportation and decided to pop off at the mouth with a personal attack on her as a person. Which makes you the asshole. Came here to say everything you just said. AITA. Assuming you don't live in like Manhattan. Say what you will. It's not unreasonable or spoiled to want a car at age 33. And everyone is a college graduate. A lot of people are married and have kids by that age. Lol, she just wants to not take the bus. Seems like she's not asking for that much. If it's more than the car, please add more info. But that alone doesn't warrant a tear down. AITA. There's a difference between saying you're spoiled and you don't respect my friend, and saying I, or insert someone else you know, bought a used car and have had a great experience with it. I don't see the benefit of buying a new car. Anyway, public transit in our city is very reliable compared to most. So we are really lucky to have a great alternative. The way you've described it here, the words used were very accusatory and you truly stepped out of bounds, I'd say, by making those comments. If this situation was happening between you and your wife alone, fine. Say what you want. But you needlessly inserted yourself into your friend's relationship and you probably embarrassed the girlfriend and your friend in front of everyone at dinner. Not cool and also not your business. This should be higher up. There's a way to call her out without calling her names or calling out the friend's finances. This is a perfect example of how to call someone out diplomatically. Maybe I'm going against the grain here, but AITA. I don't disagree that she needed a reality check. But the way you went about it makes you tar. You basically attacked your friend's girlfriend in the middle of a night out. Maybe she needed a reality check, but there were way better ways to go about it. I agree. It's just not your business, honestly. AITA. There are a million ways you could have conveyed this more tactfully. You didn't solve the problem. And you probably created more problems for your friend. If you enjoyed this video, then hit the like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more future videos.